Anchor Text. Zizou by Trevor Bousquet. In the south of France lived a boy who was poor, but rich with desire. He lived in a rough part of town, but he wanted to be the best soccer player in the world. His mom and dad came to France from the hills of Algeria, looking for a better life. They worked hard, but they did not have much money. The family lived in an apartment as small as a mouse's nest. There was not even room for Mom, Dad, and all 5 kids to sit down at the kitchen table at the same time. Little Yaz escaped to play soccer whenever he could. His first soccer field was the gravel of the central square of the town. Gravel turned into grass, and soon Yaz was playing in the local league. Little Yaz was quiet and gentle, but he was determined. He loved more than anything to kick a ball. He had nightmares when his papa worked late at night. But he got into trouble just like other kids. Once, he broke all the lights in the apartment with his ball. Yaz played so well that he was invited to train with a professional team. First, he was meant to stay for 6 weeks. But because he was so talented, he stayed for 4 years. After that, he went to Bordeaux. There, his new teammates stumbled over his Algerian name, Zinedine Yazid Zidane. They gave him a new nickname, Zizou, pronounced Zizou. In Bordeaux, Zizou worked hard to learn to control his temper. On and off the field, he got mad when anyone insulted him. Because he was very loyal, he hated it when people laughed at his family and friends. On the soccer field, Zizou was like nobody else. The fans roared as he covered the field like a gazelle. He ran like lightning. He controlled the ball as if it was tied to his feet. His fame spread. Managers came from all over the world to beg him to join their teams. He chose Juventus, an Italian team. There, Zizou was like a charge of electricity. Immediately, the team began to play better. The brave Zizou encouraged his teammates, and they looked up to him. He was astonishing on the field. He could find a way through the opposing players when it seemed as if they were a brick wall in his path. He could score from anywhere on the field, and the stands would go wild. But it wasn't just his talent. Zizou had style on the field and off it. He wasn't like the other soccer stars. They liked nightclubs and fast cars. Zizou didn't care about money or fancy clothes. He cared about his family and his friends. He tried to set an example for young players. Zizou tried so hard, he helped Juventus win many championships. Year after year, Juventus won the Italian league. But one victory escaped him. Every year, Juventus did not win the Champions League, the top league in Europe. Eventually, Zizou decided it was time to go. He moved to the Spanish team, Real Madrid. He settled down in Spain with his wife and his young family. The sunny streets reminded him of the sunny town where he grew up. Zizou's skill on the field helped Real Madrid all the way to the final of the Champions League. One warm May evening, Zizou took the field against a German team. Zizou was on fire that night. The crowd knew it, and he knew it. A pass from a Madrid player down the left side sent both teams zooming down the field. A Spanish player kicked the ball wildly into the penalty area. Up, up it went. Beneath it, Zizou was ready. He twirled and kicked it as it fell. The ball flew past the goalie and slammed into the net. Madrid had won. The goal from that May night was one of the greatest ever seen in the championship. By now, Zizou was playing for the national team of France. He loved to play for his country. But as much as the fans loved him, there were some who did not. Because his father was Algerian, they didn't like him. They said he was not really French. But Zizou was proud of where he came from. He knew he could be French and Algerian as well. The fans thought so too. People came from all around to ask the great player to sign autographs. The year was 1998. France was hosting the World Cup, the most important soccer tournament in the world. With Zizou as their leader, the French team made it all the way to the final. All over the world, people watched on TV as France battled Brazil, the most famous team in soccer. Zizou's dribbling and passing was amazing. Bam! A ball hit the back of the net. And then another. Zizou scored 2 of the 3 goals that France scored that night. The French team became champions of the world. After the game was over, people filled the streets. They shouted, "Zizou for president!" He was a national hero. All over France, Algerians, Moroccans, and French people, black, white, and every color, hugged each other and cried because they were so happy. The newspapers wrote stories about how Zizou had brought the country together. Zizou just kept playing soccer. Zizou's career ended in 2006 at another World Cup. This time, the story was sadder. Again, Zizou played well, and the spectators cheered him all the way to the final. Again, France played another good team, Italy. But Zizou's temper, which he had worked so hard to control, got him into trouble again. In extra time, with both sides tired, an Italian player spoke to Zizou. He made a very mean remark. This was too much for the tired Frenchman. He hit the Italian player, and he was sent off the field. Missing their hero, the French team lost the game and the World Cup. The story doesn't end there. Zizou retired from soccer, but he did not just sit around and polish his trophies. He had made a mistake, but he was still the same brave man his fans loved. He coached young players and tried to teach them to be good people. He always remembered the poor neighborhood where he grew up, so he did a lot of charity work to help the poor. Every year, he plays a charity match with his friends and raises money to help poor people. He travels all over the world so he can show reporters the hard work that people do to fight poverty in their own towns. Now, Zizou's own sons play soccer. Someday, maybe they will play for France like their father.